Hi everybody, Steve here at Good Shepherd Cemetery in Huntington Beach, California. And I'm here to visit the grave sites of two pretty famous people who are laid to rest here. Tragically, they both died way before their time, and I was very surprised to find them here in this cemetery. That's really nice. The bells at the cathedral are ringing. The cathedral, I don't know if you can see, is right behind me here. I guess it's probably considered a church rather than a cathedral. It's really not that large, but they sure do sound like cathedral bells. The church is just inside the front gates to the right. So how many of you remember the Doris Day TV show, which aired for 5 seasons from 1968 to 1973? She played a widow raising 2 young sons in Northern California, and her youngest son, Toby, was played by actor Todd Starke. Sadly, he's laid to rest here in Section G, Lot 2918. And I'm here at the cemetery on a Sunday morning, and the smell of burning incense in the air seems to be everywhere. It seems to be a tradition used by a number of different cultures, and on my trips to cemeteries, especially here in California, I notice it more and more all the time. I kind of like it. It reminds me of the groovy hippie days back in the late 1960s. According to the IMDb entertainment website, Starke lost control of his motorcycle on a curve and crashed into a utility pole. He died in Los Angeles on May 4th, 1983, at the young age of 21. His epitaph reads, "Our California boy is the angel in our pocket, loved and returned with love." And looking at his headstone, the first thing I notice is just how new it looks. And I believe these must be his parents buried just to the right of him, and they died more recently, so I'm guessing that the family probably replaced his headstone with a newer one when his parents' headstones were placed. And when I called to find out where his grave is, the man I spoke to was very nice, and he said, "You'll never find it, just come to the office and get a map." It's very difficult to find, but surprisingly, this is one of the easiest graves I've ever found. The curbs are very well marked. This is Section G, and on the curb it said 2900, so I knew this was the row, and then I just walked right to his grave. Now this section is right in the middle of the cemetery, and I'll pan around so you can see a little bit of it. And it's got the statue here. And in fact, if you look for this statue, I think it's the only large statue here. And I guess those are niches, columbarium niches, where the cars are coming in and out there. That's the gate where I just came in. Just make the first left, come to the second section on your left, and this is Section G. And I'll add a GPS just to make it that much easier in case you decide to visit in person. I'm wondering how many people have visited Todd Starke's gravesite. I hope that's how he pronounced his last name. Could be Starkey, I guess, but I'm assuming it's Starke. I used to watch the Doris Day Show when I was a kid, but I hadn't seen the show since it went off the air. And I never really thought about what happened to any of the cast members until just the other day, when I just accidentally discovered that Todd Starke had died at the young age of 21 in a motorcycle accident, and that he's laid to rest right here in Huntington Beach, just down the street from where I lived back in the early 1990s. Straight ahead, if you see the cars going by, that's Beach Boulevard. And if you take Beach Boulevard this direction, or just a mile or two, it dead ends right at the beach, right at the ocean. So this is a really incredible location for a gravesite if you're a beach lover. This is a small to medium-sized cemetery, so I'm going to walk over to the next gravesite that I'm here to see, which is located in Section D, which is pretty close to Beach Boulevard and the opposite end of where I came in. The first thing you see in this section is a very impressive sculpture featuring the Lord's Prayer, and right behind it is the gravesite that I'm heading to. So I just added a GPS to his gravesite. It's pretty easy to find anyway. As I mentioned, the sections are very well marked, and he's laid to rest right up here near Beach Boulevard. That's Beach Boulevard there, and he's just right behind the statue here of the Lord's Prayer. But just to make it even easier for all of you Hitchcock fans and Robert Burks fans, if you're a film buff and or an Alfred Hitchcock movie fan, then I'm sure you know the name Robert Burks. He was a very well-known cinematographer in Hollywood and worked with Alfred Hitchcock on quite a number of his classic films. And you know how I'm always discovering weird coincidences or happy accidents in cemeteries? Well, here's another really weird one. In 1956, Doris Day and Jimmy Stewart starred in Alfred Hitchcock's now classic film, The Man Who Knew Too Much, and the movie won the Academy Award that year for Best Original Song, Que Sera Sera, Whatever Will Be, which was sung by Doris Day. Well, it became her signature song, and Que Sera Sera was also used as the theme song on the Doris Day Show. And you probably already guessed that Robert Burks was the cinematographer for The Man Who Knew Too Much. I always find it so strange to find very famous people buried in out-of-the-way places like this that you would never expect. I wasn't aware of how he died until I read his Find a Grave memorial page, which said that he and his wife tragically died in a house fire in Newport Beach, which is not too far from here. His Find a Grave memorial page also says that he was Hitchcock's favorite cameraman. And in 1955, Burks won an Academy Award for his cinematography on the movie To Catch a Thief. He also received Academy Award nominations for Strangers on a Train, Rear Window, and A Patch of Blue. It's very sad that Starke and Burks both died so tragically and at such young ages, but somehow it does seem fitting that they are laid to rest here in the same cemetery, similar to how they were connected in life through a movie, a TV show, and a song. And look, you can get tested right next door to the cemetery. Standing in the cemetery today, reading this message, definitely seems like a sign in every meaning of the word, doesn't it? And talk about symbolic messages in the year 2020. Here's a statue of Saint Michael the Archangel slaying a dragon. This week I want to give a shout out and a very big thank you to my newest Patreon supporter, James Richter Jr. Thanks, James, for your generous donation to this channel. I also want to thank all of you who have subscribed to this channel and have really helped it to grow over the last few years. Subscribing really does help a channel grow. And when I first started this channel, I never dreamed that so many of you would take the time to subscribe. So thanks for joining me on another trip down memory lane. And until next time, thanks for sharing the memories, everybody.